Hey guys, welcome back to Mental Dive. It has been a while. I'm not gonna lie, I took a break. All of 2020, we pretty much all just worked all year because there was really nothing else to do. And then for Christmas and New Year, I finally just flew home and saw the family and just relaxed and spent time with them because I haven't seen them all year. Like I'm sure most people probably haven't traveled. But I did travel, jumped in a plane, and it was kind of weird. But then when I came back, I had a few scares, little temperature increases, wasn't feeling hot, and I was like, oh no, here we go, I got it. But I got a COVID test and it was negative. And I never had symptoms of COVID. I just felt like generally ill, like kind of just sick because it's cold and you travel and there's germs, and plus over the holidays, probably eating drink too much, so like your body's just all out of whack. But anyway, I've been working on this post probably for like 3 months, way too long, and compounding. So there's a million videos on YouTube and posts about compounding in the financial sector, and but there's not many correlations to compounding about what goes on in your wallet and what goes on up here. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of talk about the correlation. And I think when you can have the example of how it works with money and then correlate that like real feasible example to what goes on in daily habits of your life, then it's just easier to recognize, in my opinion. But anyway, as always, my name is Chris from mentaldive.com, and let me take myself off the screen here, and we will get started. All right. So compounding. What is compounding? Pretty much compounding is how do you make your money make you more money as you do nothing but sit back and watch. I think that interests most people. But compounding is the process where interest collected. Compounding is the process whereby interest is credited to an existing principal amount as well as interest already paid. So, good deal. Now let's jump into this little example. Say this little stick figure is you, and you are super excited to jump in the wonderful world of investing, and you want to buy some stocks or some ETFs, exchange trade funds, and you want to go to a brokerage and say, hey, let's do it. For brokerages, I use mostly E-Trade. They're pretty good. There's things like Fidelity and Robinhood, which I'm sure they're all kind of the same. I just only use E-Trade, so that's just my experience, and I never had a problem. Not affiliated with them at all, but that's just my 2 cents. So continuing with a little example. So you found a company you want to invest in, let's say company XYZ, and you want to buy one stock. So you throw some cash at your brokerage account, and then they'll keep track of your investments for you. And now you're the proud owner of one stock. Now in a perfect world, let's say the stock cost you $50. You have time on the bottom, your investment value is on the right side. So at the very beginning, you'll likely probably see very minimal growth over time. But then say a year from now, that investment will increase dramatically. And we'll get into that in a few more slides here. But say that stock also produces dividends and you're young, you don't really need extra pennies. So you just keep reinvesting those dividends. There's a lot of, well, I don't know about a lot, but for E-Trade, they do a thing called a DRIP, a dividend reinvesting program, which means every time I get paid a dividend from one of my things that I own, whether it be a stock or an ETF, it just automatically gets reinvested into that principal, that stock, and I just end up owning more of that stock or that company, which is exactly what our little stick figure here does. They don't need those pennies right now. So every 3 months is normally when dividends are paid. So every 3 months is a quarter. I learned that in the big fancy money world. So every 3 months, dividend is paid. You say, don't need it yet, so we'll just throw it back into our initial investment. And as you can see, your red stock here is what you started with. And then over time, you don't need these dividends, so you're throwing back into your investments. So 2 things are growing here, 2 really big important factors. As this investment grows, regardless of the dividends, the actual principal investment just grows over time. If it's a big company and it's doing well, in a perfect scenario. But also every quarter, you're getting dividends paid, and those dividends are getting reinvested into that stock. So you're actually owning more of the stock. So the thing that you bought is growing in value, and then the amount of what you bought is also growing in value without you doing nothing. But to see consistent results that you can actually benefit from later in life, that you would also be probably purchasing more of stock XYZ every month, and then this process just becomes faster. But this is the best way I could visually kind of describe compounding, where in a perfect world, your stock price over time increases and the dividends you earn increase because the more you own more of the thing, you own more of the stock than you did initially. So that is compounding in the money world. Now let's flip the switch here. Oh, JK, we're going to talk a little bit more about money. So this is a real world example. This is a little stock of Coca-Cola. Back when the screenshot was taken, it was around $50 a share. And this is the real world. It's not always honey and cherries. So there's dips, there's dives, there's gains, there's losses. But one of the reasons I wanted to show you this slide was for so consistency and compounding. So consistency is probably just as important, maybe arguably more important than compounding. So the way to, in my opinion, benefit from investments in the markets is to do dollar cost averaging. And that is where, say every month you want to put X amount of money into investments. Don't just throw all spare money you have in investments all at one time. So say you put all your investments right here in 2018, boom, you dump 10 grand in a Coca-Cola. Awesome. Well, then a few months later, the price dropped. And you could have got everything you just bought at a much cheaper price and even owned more shares. And then that's the whole name of the game. But if you invest whatever number you want at the same time every month, then you swim in each lane of the gains and the losses. And you don't really, I just think it's a safer way to do it. And I think it's a smarter way to do it. So I thought it was worth talking about. And also, when we talk about dividends and reinvesting and all that kind of stuff, this is what you're actually going to see. You're going to see what the price is of the stock currently, and then you're probably going to see a dividend yield. And how much, if you buy one stock of this, how much of a dividend will you actually get if you buy one share? So that's what this equation is up here. Annual dividends per share, and then you already have your dividend yield percentage, and then you have your current share price. And that's what this math is over here. And just to kind of give you an idea that one share, if you buy one stock of Coca-Cola for $50, your dividend will be $1.74. So your dollars are chasing pennies, but over time, those pennies chase more pennies, and those pennies chase more pennies, and more pennies, and more pennies, and more pennies. And it adds up pretty substantially over a long period of time. Not even long, like 10 years, 5 to 10 years. So there's your compounding example in the money world. But now let's flip the switch and the mental side of things. So does this look familiar? You have your straight line where you don't see really much progress and then just exponentially grows. But now we're talking mentality. So let's see here. With self-time, so let's back up. Your example here is, say you start like a new sport. You start swimming. First time you ever started swimming. You jump in the water. You didn't drown, so that's positive. And you can successfully swim laps and not die. So honestly, that alone, huge win. But say we're right there. We just started swimming, and we like lap swimming, and we want to get faster. So this is you. You're the red dot. You just started. So your perception of what's possible is probably lower because you're not going to the Olympics tomorrow because you just figured out how to put on your goggles. And that's okay. You got to start somewhere. Everyone's there. And the time you put in is probably the largest it's going to be because you're just new. So you got to learn. And that's totally okay. And over time, you practice every day, maybe twice a week, 3 times a week. You get in after work, you practice, you get better, you get faster, you research, you do technique work. And then say you're here, you're experienced. Maybe after if you're super good, 6 months, 6 years, either way, if you consistently do it, then you're likely going to get better. So what do we have over here? We have the time required to get here is much lower. It takes you much less time to do the same exact thing. And your perception of what's possible is much larger because you're just simply better at the thing you've been doing every day or 3 times a week or twice a week or whatever you want to do. But the biggest reason I want to show you this graph is this quote in the middle I thought was very interesting. I don't know who said it. It might have actually been me. But no, there's no way it was me. This is too good. But daily consistent improvement and progress often goes unnoticed. So say, for example, swimming we've been talking about. That your daily workouts and your daily practices that you're going to do in swimming every day, you're not going to see improvement. You're going to be improving. You're going to build muscle memory. You're going to be more familiar with just being in the water and dealing with that element. But day in and day out, you're not going to feel like you're improving. And that's just the simple fact of being a human, is that you want that instant gratification. You want to learn how to survive treading water one day and then swim a mile in under 15 minutes the next day, because we just want to be awesome. And we are awesome, but the human body just physically couldn't do that. You have to learn. You have to put the time in. And well, off a little tangent there. But the workouts, those type of learning how to swim workouts, if doing that day by day for months on months, you're kind of laying bricks. You're laying bricks for a solid foundation. Because if you want to achieve whatever goal you have in mind, the strongest structure known to man is a triangle. So think of a triangle, huge base, and then it gets narrow, 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 and the very tippy top is your goal. But the only way you're going to get to that tippy top is if you have the strongest foundation you can make for yourself. Because I believe that if you want to be truly successful, it's something that you have to make it to where good enough will get you across the finish line. Because if everything has to be absolutely perfect for you to be successful, it's likely not going to be that way. So, just food for thought. But yeah, compounding in the money world visually looks the same as being consistent and building habits to be positive in reality and even in your mind. So, next slide. Alrighty. So kind of what I was talking about, people want to put on their goggles and then learn how to put their swimsuit on and then maybe do the Olympics tomorrow. And shoot for the stars, man. Go for it. But your foundation is going to be extremely weak, and you're going to try to go from here and achieve this massive goal. And I would love for that to be the case. I would love to put in not so much work and just get the reward. And that'd be awesome. But unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. And you're likely going to end up right here. You're just going to tumble over, and your goal will probably maybe be met. Maybe you'll have an idea of what your goal actually was. You might not even know what your goal originally was, but you just tried to shoot for the stars, and you might tumble over because your foundation and your structure was extremely weak. This is what a strong foundation looks like. So whatever your goal is up here. Fantastic. Building this amazing, strong, structurally sound foundation is how you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And if you notice in these blocks, you see things like put your shoes on, make your bed, clean up, shower, be early. And you see randomly it's 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. For the big part about the post and mental dive for compounding was daily habits really dictate where you're going to go in life, in my opinion. And you'll notice a lot of people maybe just like they see someone do an amazing thing athletically or whatever, and they're like, oh, I should really get on that and lose weight, or oh, I should really work harder and maybe I could be where you're at. And maybe they will, but they probably won't, because change is difficult and change is an unknown, and change takes breaking habits they already have. So say you have a goal. Most goals worth having are extremely hard, and they're over a long period of time. But the best way, me personally, I've gotten better at this. I used to not be so great. But like for an example, for me, I have an Ironman in 9 months, and it's huge for me. That's a huge thing that I want to do, and I'm working towards it, and we'll see how it goes. But the best way that I can stay positive and not get overwhelmed with that insanely large, it's a 140-mile race, is that when I'm in training sessions, I just focus on 10-minute intervals. Just let's knock this out for 10 minutes. No more about the next 10 minutes. Don't think about anything else. Don't think about next week, next month, next year. But when I start thinking like this, then I just become really relaxed, because 10 minutes it's a very reasonable amount of time. And then getting the most out of those 10 minutes. I mean, even not even for triathlon, for work, for school, for creating content for Mental Dive, for being a good boyfriend, a good brother, just enjoying life. 10 minutes, you can do that. But those 10 minutes compound into having a good 30 minutes, a good hour. And then I get excited. I got so much done in that hour. I got to spend so much quality time with a loved one in that hour that it turns into just a really good day, which compounds to a good week, to a good month. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. It's just like the stock market. There's ups, there's downs. But overall, I believe looking at life like this, especially when tackling immense goals, if you break it up into just 10-minute segments, you'll be very, very impressed at what you can do. And another quote here, 90% of tasks we put off take less than 2 minutes to complete, like making your bed or shaving. It doesn't take a lot of time. We just have to do it. Like, the hardest thing about doing most things is just getting started. And that's true for me. But the more I realize that it's just 10 minutes or it's just 2 minutes, and getting this done will be better when I come home after work or when I come home from workouts, then I just do it. I don't think about it. And not thinking about it, those reactions become more impulsive, and then it's just easier for me to get these little tasks done throughout the day, which over time compounds to it's easier for me to get harder tasks done throughout my life. And I've noticed that. And I think it's truly amazing effect of compounding. So another example, kind of just personalized to me, because in 2020, I was most of the people I hung out with, because, can't see anyone. So this is my little aspiration of 2021, complete an Ironman. So kind of the same structure as the pyramid we saw on the last slide, but little foundation things at the bottom, and this is my goal. So my smaller foundation things, follow a training program I took a part of, quality over quantity, not destroying my body, and having good sessions and knowing my limits, positive fuel. I'm a human. I'm going to have Oreos and crap when I want to, but overall just being more healthy. And then just other little miscellaneous triathlon things that recover from workouts, practice air position, low heart rate intensity training, focus on the bike, because it's a 140-mile race and 112 of it is on a bike. And then at the very top here is just physically and mentally believing that you've trained for this for 9 months and you can flip and do it. And honestly, whatever goal you have in life, you can make a little diagram like this, and it puts in perspective of what you have to work on and what you have to do. And for me, it's helped immensely, and I hope it helps you guys immensely with whatever your aspirations are in life. But also, if you're like most people, you have more than just one thing that you want, right? So what do you want to do? You want to do a good job where you work. You want to, if you're in school, like graduate or do good in school in general. Maybe do a triathlon and start a website and see how it goes. So this is actually, it's kind of one of my little theories, the 1/4 rule. I used to have a big problem that I wouldn't know what's realistic for expectations. Like, I would want to do these 4 things and I want to excel in all 4 and just kill it and produce posts on Mental Dive like once a week, and then get assignments done a week early and get projects done at work early, and just have so much research to back everything that I derived in my career. And for triathlon, just absolutely nail every workout every single day. That would be great. But that's just not how life works. There's ups and downs, and you only have a finite amount of energy every single day. You literally wake up and you have a number, and that number is equivalent to like your energy levels and how much effort you can put in. And the more things you have as wants, then it's kind of 1/4 expectation. But this is just my example. You might have 3 things, you might have 5 things. 4 is a good number for me. So, but there's probably more than 4 because it's also like be a good boyfriend, be a good son, just be a good person, other miscellaneous things. So honestly, probably 2 of these 4 bubbles could also be sectioned off into like 4 other sections. But I thought it was a good analogy, so it was worth mentioning to you guys. But that is it. That is my rant for compounding. I freaking love y'all. Hope everyone's doing good. Hope you guys had a good Christmas break and New Year's and you're back at it and you're healthy and you're doing well. And check out the website if you like. You can follow us on Instagram, mentaldive.com. The website itself is just mentaldive.com. And you can feel free to leave a comment on this video or shoot us an email if you just have any questions or you just want to chat. If you have anything you're going through and you want to talk about it, I'll be happy to respond as fast as possible. But as always, my name is Chris, and thanks for watching. Love y'all, and I will see you on the next one.